Hello, you're watching Real Simple News on Friday, March 6, 2020. I'm your host, Cale McCullough. And for today's top news story, a U.S. House bill is introduced to conditionally strip websites of Section 230 platform versus publisher protection. Ooh, this is juicy. This is from Reuters News, and the story says a bipartisan group of U.S. senators on the powerful Judiciary Committee on Thursday introduced a bill aimed at curbing online distribution of sexual abuse material that technology and civil groups said was an attack on strong encryption to billions of people. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, so what they're talking about is section 230. Hold on, it's 42 U.S. Code section 230, and it's the let's pull it out. It's called the Protection for Private Blocking and Screening of Offensive Material. Or sorry, it's not 42 section, it's 47. And what this does is it gives platforms immunity from lawsuits for like tort and libel and for other tort offenses that are committed on their website, because a information content provider or a social network is akin to a newspaper, because it's a place where you can post up defamatory information or libel or some other tort offense. And so the internet required some protection against tort claims for it to grow, because websites can't actually monitor everything that's on their website. Facebook has to hire like tens of thousands of people to monitor Facebook. And so they use this 47 section 230 in order to justify taking our freedom of speech. And so this is why this is actually a very, very, very interesting bill that we should probably support. I haven't looked too much into it, but what these people are claiming is that it's going to be harmful for children. So let's read on. What are they trying to do here? The bill by Judiciary Chairman Lindsey Graham and Democratic member Richard Blumenthal would end civil immunity for platforms like Facebook and Alphabet's Google for user-posted content if they do not follow a new commission's quote-unquote best practices for detecting abusive images. Security expert joined tech trade groups in condemning the bill, saying it was exploiting the scourge of child abuse to threaten encryption protecting online Americans and businesses. Doesn't make any sense. Encryption. What? I'm sorry. I'm a computer engineer, and I work with this encryption stuff. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. Like, how would you jeopardize our encryption? I don't understand that, because it's just that that's not how you would go about actually jeopardizing encryption. It's not like, oh, you got to hand us over the keys. That's not like what's going to jeopardize our encryption. That doesn't make any sense. It says the Eliminating Abuse and Rampant Neglect of Interactive Technologies Act of 2019, or EARN-IT Act, has 8 additional co-sponsors, including the Judiciary's top Democrat, Dianne Feinstein, fellow Democrats Dick Durbin, Sheldon Whitehouse, and Republican Senators Josh Hawley, Kevin Cramer, and Joni Ernst. The lineup makes the bill likely to emerge from the committee and at least reach the floor to the Senate. Unlike past attempts to hinder strong encryption, whether it would pass there and in the House is an open question. So if you're living in a state where your senator's not going to vote for this, you might want to actually think about getting a hold of your senator and representative, because it has to get through both of those branches of not branches, but both the House and the Senate in order to get to the president. So this would actually, I think that this is a really good idea, because first off, Twitter and Facebook, they can contribute. They can break campaign finance laws very easily by swaying elections. It's very easy for Facebook or Twitter to sway elections. All they have to do is just say that the president is putting out fake news, and then they can cut them off through their policies that they have. And in fact, we've got a news story coming up that is about such a thing. I guess we're going to see whether or not it was legit for Facebook to do what they did. So stay tuned. But this is very easy for them to get away with what would be a very, very, very egregious campaign finance law violation, because they have control over the social networks that other people don't have. Other people can't do that. There's only one of those. Like, we can start, another political party or another business or another PAC or something, but you can't really start on the Facebook. They got a monopoly on that. There's a Twitter, yeah, but they have that. You're not going to make another one of those. So we're stuck with them, and they're going to be the people who are going to be dictating here what kind of news you get. Because when you watch YouTube, like for instance, if you watch David Pakman, if you're a liberal, YouTube will send you over to MSNBC to watch their videos, all their lunatic conspiracy theories. And then if you're a Tim Pool fan, then you watch his videos, YouTube will send you to Fox News. What? In what kind of world does this not count as an illegal campaign finance violation? Because why aren't they sending these people over to the Green Party? Right? Why are they sending me to Fox News? Like, what? It's like it's trying to sway the election. It's like they can access voter rolls, and they can know who's registered in what party, and they can use this information to manipulate what party you register to vote in, and they can use this information to actually do what is called stimulus pairing in order to do some really, really manipulative psychological things to pair up angry stimulus with certain news, certain political affiliations or ideas that piss people off, and they can make it so that you can get pissed off because the videos that you send taking you from one channel to another in the politics are used, and the algorithm is used to maximize your screen time, and the algorithm can use anger in order to do this, and it can actually make you an angry person. And I just find this to be incredibly frustrating, because I pay for YouTube Premium. It's only $12 a month, but I am a customer. And so are they sending me over to Fox News because Fox News paid for advertising for this? Because I'm a paying customer here, and that's a violation of the contract that I entered into. That's a manipulative thing, or they're trying to manipulate my vote. This is illegal. This is fundamentally illegal. So we can easily see here that there's a lot of people in Congress that don't know anything about computers at all. So they're going to say a bunch of absolute crazy nonsense. I think that this one seems legit because I think that we should broaden this. This is, maybe a beachhead. I'm going to have to congratulate Lindsey Graham and Democratic member Richard Blumenthal for bringing forth this bill, because I think that this is good. I really hope that we could expand this to ensure that these large companies aren't manipulating our election system in their ivory tower, where they're walking around sidewalks full of heroin needles and feces there in San Francisco, because everybody just loves to walk in shit when they go to San Francisco, right? Like, everybody would totally want to live there because you can get hepatitis C just by walking down the street, and cholera at the same place. Only in America, right? So what's this next story here? Oh, wow. Next story here. Florida's 7th grader sends 47 people to the hospital when he mistakes pepper spray for body spray. Oh, ouch. Ooh. A Florida boy reportedly stole what he thought was a classmate's body spray to get a big surprise when he sprayed himself and discovered it was pepper spray, sending at least 40 classmates to the hospital. Oh my gosh. Well, I guess that's what he gets for stealing. But, man, 40 people. Yeah, that stuff gets in your eye. Woo! Damn. I only got that stuff in my eye once at that, Portland anti-Trump protest. It was definitely burns quite a bit. But, yeah, I don't have anything to do with the left anymore. I joined the walkaway campaign, and I don't want to have anything to do with any of that stuff. Again, what's this next story? Surveillance court bars some DOJ, FBI officials from the warrant process. Judge James Boasberg wrote in an order Wednesday that there is thus little doubt the government breached its duty of candor to the court. Interesting. Federal judge on the government's secretive surveillance court said that the Justice Department and FBI personnel who are under scrutiny for their conduct in a case involving former Trump campaign aide are barred from participating in the surveillance warrant application process. And so I think this is an example of sloppy journalism right here. It's Carter Page, this guy, right? I wish I knew this dude. He seems pretty cool, honestly. There's probably a reason why all these guys give him money. U.S. District Judge James Boasberg, the presiding judge on the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, FISC, issued an order Wednesday setting out additional framework for the Justice Department and FBI to follow future FISA proceedings. The order specifies that no DOJ or FBI personnel warrant under discipline or criminal review relating to their work on FISA applications shall participate in drafting, verifying, that's twice. They have to verify twice. I mean, you should. So I'm it is a typo, but we're going to let that typo slide. Maybe they actually thought the same thing. They're like, yeah, well, don't just verify once, verify twice. Reviewing or submitting such applications to the court. Yeah. I'm going to have to actually second that typo. Boasberg's order requires any findings of misconduct relating to the handling of FISA applications to be swiftly reported by the surveillance court. The court also ordered the Justice Department and FBI to include in applications representing the agency lawyers attesting to the information they contained a further indication of mistrust of the Justice Department and FBI. The FBI Justice Department have come under scrutiny about secretive surveillance processes after the Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horschwitz determined last year that each of the 4 applications to the FISC to wiretap Carter Page, the former Trump aide, contained 17 significant inaccuracies and omissions. Now, I wonder why they didn't put Carter Page up at the top. Because, I mean, most people are only going to read the first couple of paragraphs. Quote, there is little doubt the government breached its duty of candor to the court with respects to those applications. And, quote, Bozeman wrote in his opinion, the frequency and seriousness of these errors in cast that given its sensitive nature had an unusually high level of review at both DOJ and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, have called into question the reliability of the information preferred in FBI applications. Pro-offered. Hold on. What does pro-offered mean? Let's look this up. Pro-offered is simple past tense of the participle of pro-offer, which means the act of pro-offering to give an offer. All right, that's today's word of the day. Federal law enforcement obtained a warrant to surveil Page in 2016 over suspicions that he was a Russian agent, and the warrant was renewed 3 times. The FISC grants secret warrants to the FBI when the Bureau can show probable cause that the target of their surveillance is an agent of a foreign power. The Inspector General also determined that an FBI attorney identified as Kevin Kleinsmith altered an email to misstate Page's relationship with the CIA in a 4th renewal application. The official email, the original email, the CIA official acknowledged the agency previously had a relationship with Page and last was in contact with him in 2011. Kleinsmith allegedly changed the email to make it appear as if the CIA official had no such relationship existed. CBS News reported in December that Kleinsmith is the subject of a criminal investigation. The Justice Department and FBI have agreed to undertake remedial measures to the address of the deficiencies identified by the Inspector General and improve the accuracy of surveillance applications. But the court said the law enforcement agencies, quote, must fully understand and embrace the heightened duties of probity and transparency. Whoa, we got another word here. Yay. Probity. What does that mean? I've never seen that word. Complete and confirmed integrity and uprightness. I would imagine that is akin to candor. Yes. I like having those properties. Everybody thinks that they actually have those properties. They like to say that I'm like this ideal embodiment of an archetype. But in reality, most people be shady as fuck, bro. What's this next story? Facebook decides to take down Trump 2020 campaign census ads. Facebook on Thursday removed ads by President Donald Trump's re-election campaign that asked users to fill out an official 2020 congressional district census because the ad violates the company's policy against misinformation on the government's census. What's going on here? The ads, which come from the pages of the Republican President and Vice President Mike Pence, link to a survey on the official campaign's website, then to a page asking for donations. We need patriotic Americans like you, in all caps, to respond to this census so that we can develop a winning strategy for, in all caps, your state. The ad read. A Facebook ad from President Donald Trump's re-election campaign seeks users to fill out a census Facebook via Reuters. The online newspaper Popular Information, which first reported on the ad, said Facebook had originally said they did not violate its policy. Civil rights advocates said they pushed Facebook to remove the ads, and Facebook confirmed it reviewed them. The social media company, which has come under fire for allowing politicians to run misleading advertisements, said in December it would ban ads that aim to limit participation in the U.S. Census, which officials and lawmakers fear could be targeted by disinformation aiming to corrupt the count. I could see how if you thought that there's a lot of really dumb people, and a lot of them would think that they already filled out the census, maybe. But, I mean, the census people are going to come to your house. I don't know. I mean, I don't think that Facebook should be the arbiter of truth. It doesn't seem to me like Facebook should be taking down the president's ads about misinformation on the census when it's like, this is coming from the White House, dude. I mean, do you need a more authoritative source other than the White House? I don't know if you can find any, man. I mean, for real. President of the United States, pretty authoritative source on whatever they're saying. I don't know. I think it's a little bit of a catch-22 or a quagmire. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. Because what happens if they don't do anything? Well, I think it's really bad. I mean, it's like in San Francisco whenever they had that proposition that made it so that the cops couldn't arrest you if you stole anything less than like $930 or something. Now they got like gangs full of people like robbing stores, jacking all kinds of stuff just as long as it's under $930. And if you ask me, if you got a gang full of people robbing a store, that seems to me like you would add up all the value. And then if it's over that amount, then all of them would get charged. I don't know. San Francisco doesn't make sense. Any sort of city where you have ivory towers with insanely rich people, but if you walk around the streets, you can get AIDS, hepatitis C, and cholera all in the same place by stepping on human feces, where they have to have poop patrols come by and pick up the poop. I mean, that's another level, man. Damn, dude, San Francisco's messed up. I'm glad I don't live there. I live in Oregon, which is like pretty close, and like these people are just flooding up here, jacking up our rent, and yeah, I just wish that California would get their act together, because when I go there, I don't want to get hepatitis C when I step on needles in piles of human shit on the sidewalk. Please, thank you very much. Thank you. What's this next story? It's from NPR News. It's how Russia is trying to boost Bernie Sanders' campaign. Senator Sanders says he was briefed by intelligence community about Russia's effort to aid his campaign, which has gotten more positive support from Russian media than other Democratic candidates. Oh, there's a Russian conspiracy. Oh, Bernie Sanders is working with the commies. Yep. I see this one coming. MSNBC. Oh, this entire next year is going to be running conspiracy episodes about how Bernie Sanders is now in cahoots with Putin now, right? Right? Yep, I can see it all now. All now. You got Rachel Maddow going. I don't know what she would actually sound like. I haven't watched her in years, honestly. But they would probably say that Bernie Sanders could have given everybody in the world $1 million from all the money he spent on advertisement. Yeah. Next story here from Reuters. United States urges citizens to avoid travel to Haiti. The U.S. State Department on Thursday raised its travel advisory on Haiti to the do not travel from reconsider traveling, citing risk of crime, civil unrest, and kidnapping on the impoverished Caribbean island. That sucks, man. When I was like in college, I was like a jazz musician and like funk and hip hop, and I definitely remember the Haitian music beat. We play that a lot. I think they have good music coming from there. Sucks that they got all this stuff going on. You know what? Honestly, all the poor people around the world are kind of experiencing the same thing. The world is digressing into a shithole. This is why we must build the wall taller than Donald Trump has been saying. And I'm sorry if I offended some of you snowflakes here, but the fact is I don't want to get some disease from mass migration that's coming in that then wiped out a lot of people in my community and then took out everybody's jobs and made us compete with people for low wages. I'm not really interested in that. Sorry. Next article from Reuters News. Turkey attacks Syrian military after 2 Kurdish troops killed. Turkey killed 21 members of the Syrian government's armed forces and destroyed 2 artillery pieces and 2 missile launchers after two Turkish soldiers were killed earlier. The state-owned Anadolu agency reported on Friday, citing the Turkish Defense Ministry. That's interesting. That part of the world just doesn't stop. I don't know. It's kind of weird because, like, you know, most people in America, like, we have a pretty good life and we don't really experience stuff like that. So, like, to think that they're still going at it over there is just kind of nuts. I think that's, you know, another reason why the world is digressing into a shithole is because the mass migration that's going on is just displacing so many people, like large groups of millions of people, and they disperse out throughout the region, and so they just come back as different groups of people later. So like they're not a problem right now, but then they like disappear into this network of people, and then they start associating with bad apples because they're poor and they're doing some messed up stuff that only like extremely poor people would do. And then next thing you know, there's like conflicts erupting again, and the people are like ISIS just doesn't stop coming back because it's like an ideology. That's the problem with this thing, is it's like it's like a catch-22 with prisons and with fighting terrorism, because the more you put someone in solitary confinement in prison, the more they just hate you and go nuts. And then eventually they stop caring and they flip out. They don't care about themselves. They don't care about other people. They just want revenge. They become an animal at a certain point. And so this is happening in mass right now in the world. And it's pretty scary. We got to figure out how to get people to stop migrating. The migrations are extremely bad. They go and, like, if they are successful at colonizing your country, then they wipe out your culture. And if there's a bunch of poor people, they start getting gangs. I don't know what to do. What exactly do you do? Because they need to build a city. Like, what do you do with all these refugees that are trying to storm Greece right now? Like, what? I wouldn't even know the first thing to do. So big ups to any of those people over there that are actually able to, like, do something to protect Europe, because right now, man, they're like under attack. Next story from NPR. After Woody Allen's memoir was signed, book publisher employees walked out 2 days after Ronan Farrow announced he can't work with Hachette Book Group after its acquisition of father's memoirs. Employees of the book publishing house walked out in protest as well. I personally don't think, I think that Woody Allen is innocent. From what I just saw from, because I looked into it on YouTube, I watched a bunch of videos, and I saw the holes in the argument, like with the attic. There was like when you look at the pictures of the thing, you're like, oh, right, this didn't happen the way that her story said actually happened, because the attic wasn't, you wouldn't play in there. It wasn't like she described. There's like some discrepancies in her story that are obviously make it false. I'm reasonably sure Woody Allen is innocent. The way, I wonder, let's look into this. Let's see, how are they actually painting this picture? Because it's very interesting to see. Most erudite people who like Woody Allen movies think the same thing, because most reasonable people would think the same thing. Because I'm, even after years of this, I can still tell you specifics about the story and why there's holes in it, and why we think that, there's good reason to believe that Woody Allen is innocent. Even after this has been years. Most memories of most news stories you read would have faded by now, but it's just key. It sticks in your mind. So it says on Friday after, hold on. In a statement to FPR, the publisher said a Hachette Group had decided not to publish Woody Allen's memoirs, a props of nothing, originally scheduled for sale in April 2020, and will return all rights to the tutor. Quote, the decision to cancel Mr. Allen's book was a difficult one. At HBG, we take our relationships with authors very seriously and do not cancel books lightly, but we've published and will continue to publish many challenging books. As publishers, we make sure every day in our work that delivers voices and conflicting points of view can be heard. Also, a company where we are committed to offering a stimulating, supportive, and open work environment. Blah, 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 blah. I'm looking to see whether or not they say anything about the validity of the claims against Woody Allen. Here, decision was announced to HBG's employees, as well as the brief town hall meeting on Friday. On Thursday afternoon, dozens of employees of the publishing imprints Grand Central Publishing and Light Brown staged a walkout on both New York and Boston to protest Grand Central Station's decision to publish Allen's book. I'm so tired of this cancel culture bullshit. Like, this is whack. Woody Allen is innocent. What is that woman's name? Mia Farrow or something? And Ronan Farrow's mother. Like, what a crazy bitch, dude. I know Ronan Farrow loves his mother, but that was whack. Like, that was hella whack, dude. What's this next story? Texas man filmed. It's from New York Post. Texas man filmed licking ice cream in viral video gets 30 days in jail. Woo! Yeah. Fuck that guy. That shit was whack. If you guys didn't watch the video, this dude licked ice cream. He's just like eating it, and he just puts it back. That's so whack. Not quite as whack as the kid who stuck the needles in the tomatoes and like put some people in the hospital. That sucks. Yeah. You should probably have a metal detector next to your fruit, where you have your fruit, just so that you can check to see whether or not there's any sort of needles in there, because you never know when you're going to get some tweaker like sticks a bunch of HIV infested needles up inside of your tomato because they're high on meth. It can happen to you. Next story from Newsweek. Trump says he gets along great with Pence. Replacing him as VP would be an act of disloyalty. Every day I read he's going to put this one on, he's going to put that one on, Trump said Thursday, shooting down rumors of replacing Vice President Mike Pence. If he did that, he would be a great act of disloyalty because he's been great. Well, that's great to hear. I personally used to think that he was a dark Sith Lord, because he looks, if you've ever seen pictures of him dressed up as a dark Sith Lord, let's find one here. I don't know. How do you pull... yeah, Sith. Let's find him. He does actually kind of look like that dude from the movie. I forget what his name is. But you know what? The left is radical as it gets, and they are very bigoted against Christianity. And they really don't like Mike Pence because they think that he would take away women's right to an abortion. You know, a right to an abortion first. My own personal opinion on abortion is that American birth rate is so low. It's like, if you compare our birth rate to the immigrant population, which 25% of Americans being born right now are from immigrants, they have an explosive birth rate. It's exponential. There's this like 1.96. Americans is about 1.6 for our natives, which is bad. That's really bad. Because of that, I wouldn't care if abortion was illegal, even just on like non-religious grounds. I'm a little bit more Jewish. I'm not going to say that I'm completely atheist, because I've got this weird computer cult thing called the Church of the Infinite Supercomputer Simulations. I personally believe that we're in a supercomputer, and there's good reason to believe that. I can mathematically prove it to you, actually, beyond a reasonable doubt, that actually there is actually a 0% chance. But now, I don't really think the same way I used to. I don't think that Mike Pence is an evil person because he's a devout Christian and he's an older person who kind of looks like a dark Sith Lord. If you doctor him up in Photoshop, I'm pretty sure it's just a photoshopped image, and it's not actually true. And yes, hence more reasons why the left is absolutely batshit crazy, because they see some photoshopped image and then they all of a sudden it becomes their worldview. Moving on to the next story here from Reuters Top News. Turkey retaliated against Syrian military before the ceasefire began. Turkey staged an attack with a combat drone against Syrian government forces in Syria's Idlib on Thursday before ceasefire went into effect, destroying the military equipment and neutralizing soldiers, the Turkish defense military said. Well, that Idlib place has just been getting pummeled for a while, huh? I'm just glad I live in America, where we don't have these problems. Like, please, everybody, don't start a stupid civil war. I don't think it's going to happen. Honestly, man, the whole talk about what we're calling the Cold Civil War here in 2016, and that is the mostly was online trolling, and then you have incidences between Antifa and then right-wing groups, and so we call this the Cold Civil War. And there was actually a point in time where I thought that there might be a civil war coming. I think I was crazy. It's like, honestly, the whole concept of it is kind of stupid because people are just getting pissed off about stuff on the internet. Like they're like on Facebook, and they're getting programmed by Facebook to maximize the amount of time that they spend on ads, watching paid ads. And so they use these stimulus pairing techniques to trigger you, to have you have a predictable emotional response so that you go into predictable camps and click on the stories that they want you to click on and the ads that they want you to click on so that they can program you to make money. This is bad. This is really bad news. But I don't think we're ever going to have a civil war. It's just like crazy people on the internet. Like these people, like, they think everybody else like knows about all the stuff that they're pissed off about because they've been ranting on it about Facebook. So like after they've ranted on Facebook for like a month about this stuff, then to them it becomes real because it's like they think everybody else already knows about it because all of their friends already think that they're crazy. And so you can get interjected into some battle and like you have no freaking clue what kind of Facebook crack these people are on, dude. And you just, think it's going to be like a normal day. And then all these people are coming out with some crazy drama like Pizzagate stuff. Right? Like somebody might show up to your restaurant armed with a machine gun in order to see whether or not there's like child prostitution rings going on in your pizza restaurant because it fit their worldview. Now, I'm not going to completely discredit the QAnon theory. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I do not believe in kooky stuff, but, well, Jeffrey Epstein is Jeffrey Epstein, and, well, it's kind of hard to deny now at this point in time that there wasn't actually an underground pedo ring going on because, well, the fact of the matter is that Jeffrey Epstein ran some modeling agency and he did have a whole bunch of teenage hookers, and on top of that, above age hookers. You do have to give the man credit. He's not a complete pedo. He did have a network of above age hookers too. It just so happens that most hookers start when they're a teenager, so he was wrapped up with that. Doesn't justify it. I'm just saying, there's a reason why everybody wanted to hang out with him. This next story from the New York Post says a 94-year-old German Nazi guard living in U.S. deported to Germany. The ex-Nazi who had been living in America for over 60 years will be deported following a ruling by a Tennessee immigration judge. U.S. officials said... That's the end of that sentence there. Frederick Karl Breger, who was an armed guard at the concentration camp near Meppen, Germany in 1945, was ordered on February 28th to be removed from the States. Government officials said his exact deportation date and destination are unclear. Well, that's awesome. Definitely, Nazis suck. Okay, the whole thing about people like calling people, like the left calling people Nazis as slurs is way ridiculous. People have no clue, like, the history of what actually happened in World War II because, it's getting to the point where people weren't alive. And the political climate wasn't actually like what these people actually say. When they call you a Nazi, that's not actually what a Nazi was. Nazi was a crazy radicalized liberal. Right? Nazis were national socialists. Nationalism isn't a bad thing. Socialism is the thing that's bad, and the thing is that they were racist communists, and actually like half of them were actually full-blooded communists. And the thing is, they were working with communists in order to bring fascism and communism or take over the entire world. There's a lot of World War II history that actually didn't come to light until after like 2002, such as how the first invasion was actually a false flag invasion. It's I've already talked about this on the show. I've already brought it up, so I have to bring it up because it is absolutely fascinating. This Glitzwitz incident. It's an incident where the Nazis killed, because Hitler was already in power. Hitler was working with the communists in order to overthrow the German government, the Socialist Democratic Party. And so they actually killed a farmer, and they drugged some prisoners, and they dressed them up like SS, and they staged the World War II invasion, and they had actually coordinated with the communists because they invaded 16 days later. And this actually didn't come about, the information didn't come about until like after 2002, which is fascinating, absolutely fascinating. Definitely check that out. Next article from NPR News says Bernie Sanders' call for young voters isn't working out the way he planned. Some people aren't really that stupid. They're getting more conservative. They're not really interested in having the same problems that the other people are having, because depression is getting worse with these young people. The article says Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders acknowledges this week that the young voters that he's been counting on to boost his candidacy have not shown up at the polls in the strong numbers he's been hoping for. It's because he's a communist. I used to support Bernie Sanders like way back in 2016. I was really pissed off. I was one of the people that helped start the Portland anti-Trump protests. I was a big Bernie Sanders supporter, and we were really pissed off that the election got stolen and that Trump said grab her by the pussy, and there was like, a bunch of like college student like chicks, and like they were pissed off about sexism, and then I'm really loud, and so I got everybody pissed off, and then we took to the streets, and now I'm completely different. I'm a center-right conservative, and looking back on it, I'm not sure I actually even looked too far into like the policies. I just supported them because they felt good. I think that's just really what it is. And they were popular, and they made people like me. And, like all the support that I gave to feminism really never made any women like me. I think it made them like me less. So, boo to all of that silly fairness stuff that turns you into a beta male cuck. I'm not down with communism. I can't raise my family on socialism. It's not going to work. Women won't want to date me. I won't be able to afford things, and I'll be fighting over the last can of beans at the grocery store with an immigrant. I'm just not interested in that, bro. What's this next story say? It's from Reuters. It says, do we really want to close schools? U.S. authorities resist coronavirus closures. Like many Seattle residents, Andrew Davoff is demanding schools close to slow the country's deadliest coronavirus outbreak. But as in other cities, schools officials are resisting that, saying closures should make things worse. I personally think that we should be able to not show up to the school at any point in time and actually get our work done. We need to have some sort of system to where if the kid's sick and wants to stay home, they're still going to be doing the work, going to class, but it's going to be online. Our programs are not fluid on campus, off campus. They are dedicated, like geared on campus, and I just think that's wrong. Like, we got the technology. We don't got to do that. Next article from Reuters. Deadly plane crash erupts in Syria's... hold on. Yeah, where did I get that one from? Huh? Deadly clashes erupt in Syria's Idlib hours into ceasefire deal. Deadly clashes erupted in southern Idlib on Friday, hours into the ceasefire deal between Russia and Turkey, aimed at ending the fighting in the last rebel-held enclave in Syria. Not sure if that was exactly like the one before, but like sloppier journalism. I'm not sure. I don't know. Next article from the New York Post. Suicide bombers kill 5 police officers near U.S. Embassy in Tunisia. Tunisia media reports on Friday that 2 people on a motorcycle set off a blast near the U.S. Embassy in the Tunisian capital of Tunis. No, I'm not going to say that. Next article from Reuters. Do not go to Turkey-Greece border. EU urges migrants. The European Union pled on Friday for migrants in Turkey to not go to the Greek border or to try to breach it. Said the frontier was closed and that any encouragement to do by Turkish authorities was a game that they had to stop. The thing about this European migrant crisis is scary. And if the liberals get away with what they've been doing, that's even scarier, because the problem here is people will call you a Nazi if you don't want Europe to be taken over by these economic migrants. And I want to show you a chart here. Let me find it here really quick. Here's something from Wikipedia. They're generally pretty good for stuff like this. Here's like the projected population. I've seen the UNN has some like wild numbers. So here we're like 2019, right? So we got another 3 billion people coming in. I've seen numbers that are way scary higher than that. Let's look at the UN projection. We can find it. It's the UN one. Here's what we're looking at. Where are the people coming from? Like, Africa is blowing up. Now, I don't have anything against Africa. I personally like Africans for these countries. But the problem here is in these countries, they have a lot of poor people, and in order to have power to make up for the fact that you don't have money, they have larger families, and so larger families can have much more political influence in all countries. They, like, if you look at the Kennedys, they had this like very large family. So to them, they're having these large families in order to be able to like compete with the other people who are also having these large families. And so it's, after a while, it's a supply and demand issue, and you have so much of these power families and you have so much labor that it's so cheap that it's like it's a self-defeating system, because eventually you just run out of resources. They just like deplete the place of resources, and you can't educate all these people, give them the same resources like you could people in America, because like the world is overpopulated. Like we can't just like go doubling our population. So what the scary thing about this whole like Greek thing, like we go look in here at like the pictures here, like you can see there's like massive amounts of people. Let's look for some pictures here of the hordes of people. Here's a picture. And this is my point here, and we'll move on to the next story, is that the left likes to, they want to be nice, they want to say the things that their friends are going to like and that aren't going to piss off the feminists, because our morals all around the world, if you look at Steven Pinker's, the famous psychologist Steven Pinker's universal morals, all of these things are kind of based upon whether or not they piss people off. Like every single thing that we could see in Steven Pinker's universal morals, the harm, fairness, community, group loyalty, or authority, and purity, these were things that piss people off. And every community around the world weights these different morals in different, all their morals based upon different weightings of these 5 here. Some people are on smartphones and they can't read that. Here, Steven Pinker's universal morals. Actually, this is one of the things that changed my life, was to know these things. It justifies being conservative, because you know that fairness, when the liberals are always getting pissed off because stuff's not fair, they're trying to control your mind. They're trying to control the reaction that you have, because they want it. This is the tribe that they're in. It's the people that get pissed off about this because they want everything to be fair. And wanting everything to be fair makes you an absolute miserable troll. Dude, these people are insufferable with their trolling. They're absolute horrible. They're like radicalized feminists. Anytime you say something critical to women, they're like, I am the white knight. I will protect you, damsel in distress. Who is this person who is being rude to you? No, you have to treat the women equally. That means that you have to treat her nice. So like, equally? Dude, have you ever noticed how mean women are to other women, dude? Oh my God. You want to talk about treat me equal and equal treatment of women? Holy shit. Don't get me started about how vicious women are to other women. Okay, and then they're like, anything critical to the women? Nope. White knight's got to come in and save the damsel in distress by bullying the imaginary misogynistic pig, boogeyman, from MSNBC that mistreats women. Yes, you heard that right. I, myself, have been called the imaginary misogynistic pig imp boogeyman. It is not true. This is fake news. But it gets them pissed off all the time because they think you're not being fair. And like, equal treatment of women, like, Women control almost two-thirds of the U.S. economy now. Like, apparently they're underpaid, but they literally control two-thirds of the personal wealth. They control 85% of consumer spending. 92% of vacations they spend money on. That's 8% of global warming. Yeah, if you want to look at these numbers here, actually, you can find them by looking up the purchasing power of women. It's from Walmart, and you can see that actually, yeah, the numbers, a lot of numbers say over 60, but you could still say two-thirds because they're going up. And so it's easier to say two-thirds. 92% of vacations, 93% of food. I mean, are men like starving to death or something? Like everybody with a girlfriend, the girl just like buys the food. Damn, I need a girlfriend. What am I trying to say here? So they're all pissed off. You know, they think the women are underpaid. So they're getting all pissed off all the time because they think it's not fair. And so they want you to treat the migrants nice, and they get upset when you in America, somebody who's like not a U.S. citizen, they get upset at me because I don't think that like Europe should like let in all these migrants because it changes their culture and causes all this crime, could potentially cause a world war. There's a lot of bad things about this, but they get pissed off and they try to prevent me from saying this. Like I've had Twitterati come after me, man. Like I've had them flaming on me. But this whole thing in Europe, like we can't support this migration stuff in Europe. It's like wiping out our ancestral homeland. And the liberals there are all about it because these people, to them, it's a feel-good sensation. They don't look too far into the policies. They don't strategize saying, okay, well, if we had these policies, what are going to be the outcomes that we can predict from these strategies? What are if we had a couple of different strategies, what are the different predictions of the different strategies, and how could we know which strategy are we going to pick? Like this stuff to them is like, doesn't exist. Like, they're like, what, huh? What are you talking about? And they want us to support them. And they're all getting pissed off, and they never even looked into it. They don't even know really anything about it. They have no idea that there's actually massive amounts of human trafficking. There's like gangs of people that are trafficking these migrants. They're convincing them that Europe wants these migrants to go to Europe. And then they get them to pay them thousands of dollars to go on some boat that has some high percentage of chance of wrecking and everybody dying. But the people are so poor, or the wars are so bad, that they're willing to give up everything and go. And whenever you have so many people going, it causes like a flock of migrants. And like these people will they'll show up with like 5,000 or 6,000 people and just like expect everybody to just want them to be there. Like, no. What do you do with them though? I don't know. The only humane thing to do is deport them and to maybe give them whatever, a little bit of money to go home with. And if you look at it from the perspective of losing your homeland and your ability to control the laws in your own democracy, and then having to possibly slide into Sharia law, because most of these immigrants coming into Europe support Sharia law, they don't want to integrate into Europe. They want to live in a Muslim world, and they want to bring the problems that caused them to become migrants from their radical Islam. They want to take that to your country now. And then the liberals can't stand it when you say anything about it. But they're going to lose. I'm going to read one article more. And then, I'm going to read two articles because the next one are three. I'm going to read three more. Next one here from NPR. U.S. added 273,000 jobs last month, but economists brace for coronavirus impact. That's actually a pretty decent jobs number. It's not really high. It's strong. So that's good. It says increase was about 100,000 more than expected. Unemployment dipped to 3.5%. I don't trust those unemployment numbers, dude. Like if half the labor force dropped out, dude, it's not 3.5% unemployment, dude. It's like 50. What are you talking about? Like, oh no, but it's okay because they're already forgotten about, so they're not like actually part of the economy. They're just on socialism, and we have to pay for them. Like, okay, this one doesn't add up. Next article from Newsweek: a new species found in Earth's deepest trench has plastic in its body. Oh, so scientists have named it Erythenus plasticus. Classy name there. It says we have a new species turning up that already is contaminated, so we've missed the window to understand these species in a natural environment, said marine ecologist Alan Jameson. It's really sad about all the plastic in the oceans. It's all coming from these poor countries. They don't have the ability to like get rid of the trash, so they just dump it in the rivers. Like if you look at videos of like rivers in India or Africa, they're like overflowing with trash, and the people like dump chemicals in there. I mean, we're exploiting them for cheap goods. So, in the end, probably we have a lot of responsibility for it. But I just wish that people would stop throwing stuff in the ocean. It really sucks, though. They're trying to ban plastic straws because they're like, oh, well, people, they're going in the ocean. It's like, there's like... So straws in America are ending up in the ocean. The ones that go in the landfill, because we live in America where we have a big landfill, right? And we can go put our straws and everything in the landfill. But no, they're like, oh, no, we got to ban straws and use paper straws that disintegrate. They're absolutely horrible because it feels good. Sounds good on a bumper sticker. This is the problem with liberalism. Really fundamentally is half-baked. And the last article that I'm going to read here from BBC News, 1 billion Android devices at risk of hacking. Watchdog, which wants Google to be more transparent about security updates for old phones. I personally think that Google needs to get another round of lawsuits about the old phones because the licenses that they used in order to create that Android operating system, I program computers. I make a lot of software with these licenses. I got my own licenses, Kabuki licenses. And so these licenses that they used are intended to prevent situations like phones that can't be updated. The GNU license, very specifically, is intended because when you buy a computer, the software that was on the computer you own. That's GNU right there. That is the nature of the license. I know this because I've done in-depth research on it for my own licenses. The Kabuki Strong and Weak source available and closed source licenses. You can find them on GitHub at github.com/Kabuki-Starship, where you can find a number of open source projects that you can contribute to. So all of these phone companies aren't releasing updates to their phone because it doesn't pay for them to do so. They want you to buy a new phone. That's what they want you to go out and buy a new phone. They don't want you to upgrade your phone, replace the battery. They want you to buy a new one for them. This violates the GNU license, the GPL2 and the GPL3 license, because you don't own the software. They didn't release it. They didn't release the software. The phone company didn't. You can't take the preloaded apps off. That violates the license. So people need to start suing Google. So let's go back to this hacking thing. What can you do to prevent your phone from getting hacked? Okay, I'm going to show you the number one thing that you can do if you own an Android device is you can reset your phone. I'm going to show you here real quick how you can reset your phone. So what we want to do is in the menu here. Oh, we got to turn the screen down. So in the menu, there is a button on the settings. Can't see it, huh? And so you scroll down on the settings down to, what is it, the About Phone? Oh, reset. Hold on, it used to be in the About Phone. And so they have a link, and you can go to reset settings, okay? Or no, you want to reset factory data reset. Factory data reset. Don't know if you can see that. Okay, and so you want to reset your phone first. That's the first thing that you need to do. The second thing you need to do is you need to keep the Bluetooth on your phone off. And the Bluetooth on your phone is scary how easy it is to hack your phone. Also, your computer. You should also turn off any device that has Bluetooth. You can still use a Bluetooth speaker, because as long as you're not using the Bluetooth speaker all the time. If you're using it all the time, you need to use a wire. But if you're only using your speakers just a little bit, you can still use Bluetooth. But you should not use like Bluetooth keyboard and mouse. You should use RF keyboard and mouse. And you should thank me, because I just definitely that is a favor for someone to teach you about that. The other thing that you should do is you should use the Google two-factor authentication. It really actually does reduce the amount of times that you need to log in. You should not log in on public Wi-Fi's. You should always try to keep your phone logged in using your Google as much as you can. And if you can, log in on your phone using your if you're trying to you should use a VPN. Sorry. You should set yourself up with a VPN. And you should use a VPN service like NordVPN. I'm not a shill. But if there are ads on YouTube popping up for NordVPN, because I am talking about it and their AI bots scan it, you should click on those ads, because I am wearing a tie. And I'm doing this because I like money. And when you click on the ads, you will help support the show. But I am not a shill. I'm just trying to, it just came up. So what else can you do to prevent yourself from getting hacked? You need to secure your email account. You need to change your password. Use 10 to 12 characters. What I like to do is I like to make up some nonsense gibberish thing that's like or something like that. And then you translate it into random characters. You make it so it's easy to type in on your phone. So you use a combination of like characters that can make some weird thing that you can remember. That's like 10 or 12 characters. And then make it so you don't have to do a lot of typing on your phone to plug it in. And it's a lot better system. But anyways, I'm over time here. Thank you for tuning in to Real Simple News. Again, this is Cale McCullough, captain of the Kabuki Starship, here as your host. And until next time, aloha, sayonara, and Peace be with you in your journeys.